I'm so not used to seeing myself in this hair color, but I like it. I feel like a Barbie right now. Hi peeps, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Runzi. I'm an artist, but I mainly enjoy talking about mental hygiene, personal development, and spirituality related topics. So if you're interested in any of this, please hit subscribe and like. It really does help me out a lot. So as promised, today we will be discussing about Aya from Tomorrow I Will Be Someone's Girlfriend. To be honest, I'm not going to discuss that much about the plot because I realized that there's a lot of things to unpack with Aya's character. I know I mentioned the same thing for all the previous characters, Yua and Moe, but for Aya specifically, I realized that she is so much more relatable compared to the previous both, at least for me. So I will try my best to not make my points contradict too much because I am still trying my best to overcome some of my fears, which I'm going to touch on later on. Fingers crossed. I hope that this video makes sense. I just really want to talk about Aya because I find her character so interesting and I believe that a lot of us can actually relate to her one way or the other. Have you guys ever come across any of those super cheesy YouTube videos that talk about embracing old age and loving their wrinkles and whatnot? Now honestly, I'm not here to bash any of those YouTubers who try their best to convey their message to uplift others. However, I do think that in today's society, it's not that easy for us to simply accept the fact that we are going to grow old eventually, although that is a fact. Now, here's something to keep in mind. Everyone grows old eventually. Nobody gets out of life alive, whether you are a man, a woman, an animal, or whatever you are. Everyone dies eventually. So it's a very normal process. However, we are constantly caught up of the idea of anti-aging. Old age equals to less attractive. Well, to each their own. It's kind of hard for us to just simply release that beliefs that's so deeply ingrained within us. I do believe that if you're growing up with a lot of women around you, everyone seems to be so afraid of aging, myself included. And I do think that self-acceptance is the first step to overcome any type of fears. Well, instead of shoving our fears under the rug, today we are going to bring them up and discuss about the fear of aging and beauty, featuring Aya. Unlike the previous two videos, instead of discussing about the plot, I am going to skim through everything. Obviously, there will be spoilers, but in this video, I want to discuss more about Aya's character and how we can actually relate to her and what we can do if we actually share the same type of fears. Throughout this series and manga, the subject that women's worth and value decline as they age came up multiple times. The most prevalent one is in Aya's storyline. So Aya is actually a woman in her 30s. She's actually 36 and she has an extremely caring and loving boyfriend who is ready to settle down with her. He's cute, he's hardworking, and he loves her. However, Aya always seems like she's not really there in the relationship. She's not really invested in it. What she's really invested on is her appearance. Her whole persona are made up of lies. She lied to her boyfriend about her age. She mentioned that she's actually 29, which is 7 years younger than her actual age. She lied about her job. She's actually working as a rental girlfriend. Apparently it's a thing in Japan because she needs large sum of money quickly to fund for her cosmetic surgery. I believe that she told him that she's working as a customer support agent, if not mistaken. I don't think she mentioned to him regarding her procedures, which there's nothing wrong with it obviously, but she is extremely insecure about herself. Her persona is all made up. Even at her job, working as a rental girlfriend, there are certain rules to abide. However, she is scamming all these poor old men to believe that they are actually dating her in real life, instead of simply renting her as a girlfriend for a day or two, Aya wasn't exactly a conventionally beautiful girl in the past, so she was made fun of a lot for her appearance. I think that can be extremely traumatizing, especially if you were younger, when we still don't really know how to build our own self-esteem and hold on to our own self-image. It's really easy to buy into what others think about us and treat ourselves poorly accordingly. However, one thing I like about Aya is, instead of playing the victim, she actually take action to change her appearance, to transform herself, to improve her looks. This is the part where I am slightly conflicted, because I do think that playing the victim, creating a pity party around yourself, is not the best way to improve yourself in life, not just regarding your appearance but everything in general. However, she brought it to a whole extreme end where she was so obsessed with her appearance that she can never see herself as beautiful. She's constantly nitpicking herself and wanting to fix things. Even her plastic surgeon told her that she looks flawless and there's nothing else that he can do to fix her. This kind of reminds me of a lot of celebrities. They seem like they can never really be satisfied with their appearance, and they're constantly altering their looks to a whole extreme level. To each their own. I have nothing against cosmetic surgery. It's just that when you're constantly nitpicking on your appearance, you will never ever be satisfied, and there will always be something wrong with you. In fact, it is actually a self-fulfilling prophecy. When you believe that you're not good enough, you will constantly manifest flaws on yourself, like Aya. She couldn't actually see how beautiful she is because she is constantly focusing on her flaws. You know, it's true when they say that when you're judging others, you're actually judging yourself, and when you can't love yourself, you can't actually love others. In Aya's case, she's jealous of younger girls or girls that are more beautiful. She couldn't love her boyfriend, she couldn't be present for him. She's extremely judgmental. Her life was made up of lies. Now I'm going to explain about this one by one, starting with jealousy. Aya is really jealous of younger girls because she believed that no matter how much she spent, she will never ever reverse her age. Here's the thing, she might be conventionally unattractive in the past. Through certain procedures and glowing up, she definitely looked beautiful in both the manga and the series. She couldn't see that in herself, and she's constantly nitpicking on her skin, her wrinkles, her appearance in general. Of course, there are certain precautions when we can do to delay or to prevent premature aging. However, as humans, we will eventually rot, we will die. It's morbid, it's a fact. So if we kind of meditate on the fact that everyone is going to die eventually and nobody gets out of life alive, we can somewhat make peace with it. Aya seems to still hold on to the idea where she wants to compete with all these younger girls, where in reality nobody should be competing with anyone at all, because these younger girls are going to grow old eventually, and the older girls used to be young once, so everybody has to go through the process of aging. Like I say, there is always a procedure where we can do to delay things with today's technology. However, if you are constantly obsessed with it to the point that you couldn't even be in the present moment to enjoy your life, what is the point of even living? You are not actually experiencing your life, but you are constantly trying your best to please your imaginary audience. You are constantly imagining that there are people judging you. In Aya's situation, she's probably still caught up with her past where people used to make fun of her appearance. This ties down to the next thing which will happen, which is you can't really fully be in the present, you can't enjoy others' company, and you can't fully live your life. Aya is constantly obsessed with cosmetic surgery. She's constantly scrolling through her phone to check for the latest procedures or the plastic surgery recommendation pages that she's following on Twitter. She is not present in her life at all. She's constantly thinking about herself. I know she sounds kind of narcissistic, but I think she's more of a traumatized person who is not very self-aware. What she needs is actually therapy instead of cosmetic surgery. And when her boyfriend proposed to settle down with her, she wants to get everything done at once in South Korea before she could settle down with him because she's afraid that he will find out eventually. She assumes that he only loves her because of her appearance. Honestly, I can understand where she's coming from because her boyfriend hit her up when she was on the streets. So obviously it's a love at first sight for him. As time goes on, I believe that it's her personality that caught him on hook because appearance can only take you that far. You know, it is a privilege to be attractive. However, it can only bring you that far. People won't actually stay if you have a rotten personality despite attractive appearance. Aya seems to be only caught up with the idea that her worth is based on how she looks. That is extremely sad. I think a lot of women actually believe that our worth is just based on our youth, our appearance. But let me remind you that you are not a walking reproductive organ. You don't actually expire when you hit menopause. That's kind of absurd because we're all humans. Don't you actually have the rights to live your life, to enjoy your life, to experience whatever you want instead of just relying on someone's approval to live your best life? Don't you want to make yourself happy instead of waiting for others to validate you? In Aya's case, I do think that she has all the validation that she needs. She knows that she's an attractive girl after her cosmetic surgery. The only validation that she is lacking is the one from herself, which leads her to become somebody who is extremely judgmental. Now, this is the third point that I want to discuss about. It's really interesting because I used to be somebody like that too. I'm so guilty about this, but after a lot of inner work, after understanding myself and a lot of therapy, I came to realize that when you are not satisfied with yourself, when you couldn't fully accept yourself, you will always be somebody that's bitter, that's always judging others. You are always projecting towards everyone around you. Aya is always judging other girls, judging their appearance, judging the way they dress, judging how they carry themselves, including her boyfriend's friends. Her boyfriend's friend just got married and they seem to be really happy, although they are not conventionally attractive type of people, but they seem to be genuinely in love with each other. She wonders how someone so unattractive could be so happy while she has to work so hard to attain her beauty, and yet she couldn't feel happiness. The whole thing about happiness is you couldn't actually seek it elsewhere. No matter how hard you try to achieve it, happiness is not something that you can actually attain. It's already within you. I know it sounds really cheesy and a lot of us might probably could not grasp the idea that happiness comes from within. That's extremely normal. Don't blame yourself for that. I think it takes a lot of inner work and self-acceptance to come to terms that happiness actually comes from within. Now, when I mention self-acceptance, it doesn't mean that you should stay stagnant and be satisfied with where you are. It simply means that you come to terms with who you are right now, make peace with that, and simply move on from there. Regardless of the state that you're in, whether you are in a state that you like or dislike, you simply make peace with it and that's it, instead of labeling it as good or bad, because it's still a part of your life. It's still your life experience. Now, I'm just going to give you an example to make things clearer for you. Have you ever find yourself disliking a certain type of people? Like Aya, for example, she disliked people that are unattractive, that don't actually put in the effort to upgrade themselves, to glow up themselves physically, because it's actually a projection of herself. Whenever you dislike a certain quality in someone, it's because you're either afraid that you might end up becoming like them, or you are actually like them, but you are afraid to admit it. Well, Aya used to be a conventionally unattractive person, so she can somewhat relate to these girls and she kind of see herself in all these girls. However, she couldn't make peace with herself and come to terms that that is not her identity anymore. She doesn't even know what all these girls are going through, yet she is judging them for not putting in the effort to improve themselves just because she took the action action to go through cosmetic surgeries doesn't mean every girl in the whole world needs to do the same thing. And that's the thing about her. She is actually happy that other girls don't take action to improve themselves because she has one less competitor. Like I mentioned earlier, there's no competition in this world. The only competitor that you have is yourself. I know that a lot of people like to compare one to another. There are beauty standards, so-called beauty standards, and yes, it's a valid thing in society. Whether you like it or not, it will always be there. To put it shallowly, we like beautiful people. To put it economically, it benefits the beauty industry to make you feel insecure. If you are constantly being caught up with the idea of wanting to be the most beautiful girl in the world, it just simply doesn't make any sense, because beauty standards are kind of like trends. Sometimes it comes and goes. I actually made a video about beauty standards and beauty trends. I'll link it up here. It's extremely informative. Please feel free to watch it after this video. Obviously, as social creatures, beauty does play a role on how people treat you. However, if you don't first treat yourself nicely, and if you don't first respect yourself, and you're constantly judging others and pushing others away, regardless of how attractive you are, like Aya, eventually you are going to sabotage yourself. She ended up being laid off from her job because her boss found out that she was actually scamming her client. They were going to sue her, and her boyfriend found out that she was a liar. She basically made up her whole life story to him, and they broke up eventually. It's kind of sad, she lost everything. However, she is still hooked on to cosmetic surgery, and she's still very obsessed with the idea of perfection. I don't believe that perfection is actually something that is attainable. Think about self-improvement as a journey. No matter how much you had achieved, there will always be something more that you want. And if you couldn't actually accept yourself the way that you are right now, and reevaluate your intentions on why you want to do certain things, you will just simply blindly follow the crowd. If someone tells you that this is the beauty standard, you are going to work so hard to achieve that. A decade later, a different standard is in trend, and you will try your best to fit into that standard. It seems like you are being controlled by the society, being controlled by others instead of pleasing yourself. If you're pursuing anything at all, make sure that your beauty standards are based on what you personally like instead of what's trendy out there or trying hard to look like others. Don't be a phony. Honestly, I can understand where Aya is coming from. Nobody deserves to be belittled or make fun of for their appearance, but I think that that's just simply human nature. There will always be nasty people out there. No matter how attractive you are, there will still be people who don't like how you look. And no matter how unattractive you think you are, there will still be people who like the way that you look. What you find unattractive might be very different from someone who comes from a different continent or who is raised in a different culture. Don't base your worth on just your appearance. Build something out of yourself. Build a character out of yourself. What do you have to offer for yourself and to the world? Are you just simply a face and a body, or your reproductive organ? Don't you have things that you are capable to work on? For example, your crafts, your business, your wisdom, your knowledge, your education, or simply your joy, your personality. People might love you for just being around them. There is just so much more in a person than just simply your appearance. Sometimes what you really want is your own approval and your own validation. It's extremely unfair for us to bully ourselves, to belittle ourselves, because in the end of the day, we are just here for a short blip of time. Everyone deserves to enjoy their lives and just explore life. There are still so many more things to experience. And this message is mainly meant for myself. I hope that everyone out there could do that as well. I think that this doesn't only apply on women. I think that it applies to both men and women, especially this day and age. However, obsession is never the cure or never the solution to anything in life. So yeah guys, that's it from me for today. I really hope that you enjoy listening to me talk. If you have any questions or any topics that you wish to discuss about, feel free to leave them at the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!